Live from Brooklyn, New York, this is Stay Busy with Armon Sadler. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Stay Busy with Armon Sadler, where we have responsible discussions on the music business and the music culture. It feels like I haven't potted in a while, which is crazy. I was here like a couple weeks ago, but I don't know. I just feel like I've been distant. I miss y'all. I hope y'all miss me too. I miss these comfortable couches. But we're here. We are here to give y'all another fantastic episode. It's a special month. Busy Black Business Month, our third installment of Busy Black Business Month. This is where we highlight the creators in and out of the music industry who are doing fantastic things, people we look up to, people that you should know about, people that you might already know about. So Busy Black Business Month is here. We're kicking it off strong. I'm going to let y'all know who our guest is in a few, but of course you got to get through some housekeeping things. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel for all visual episodes, YouTube shorts, past busy sessions, or you can subscribe on your preferred audio platform. Leave a review, a like, a comment, share, engage with us on social media at Stay Busy Pod. We are on IG, Twitter, and TikTok. TikTok family, y'all haven't been as mean to me lately. I appreciate y'all. So hopefully we keep it that way, but it's all love, so you can follow us everywhere. We just got out of Stay Busy Shark Week with my brothers Wango Khan and Jordan Rose discussing Drake's best B-sides and 50 Cent saying that depression is a luxury. I really had a lot of fun with both of those discussions. It's always a pleasure linking with my guys, even if their taste is questionable because they think Hours in Silence is the worst song on Her Loss. I don't really get that. There's some people on social media who agree with them, so yeah, I got some questionable taste as well. But I'm going to let that slide anyways. Y'all can tap into those episodes. And of course, for exclusive content, the podcast OnlyFans, patreon.com/StayBusyPod for all exclusive content, early access, a bunch of different things for y'all. So make sure you tap into that. We got Nick Earley here, executive producing at a high level as only he does. Kieran Hurley, our VP of everything, the man you cannot see but you can feel. Siobhan DeShields, our VP of engagement, and Aaliyah Simone, our VP of data and analytics. But now to get to the reason why we are kicking Busy Black Business Month off so strong. I mean, the brand speaks for itself. You've seen athletes, celebrities, and anyone notable wearing the clothing that this man has helped to create, including me, myself. Every time I get paid, I'm on that shoptier.nyc website. You see it on my body. You'll continue seeing it on my body. But the clothes don't make themselves. Art, fashion, and entertainment have been part of this man's life from his Long Island University days. It should come as no surprise that he's helping make everyone else look smooth because this may be unfortunate to some. He's a brother of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. Phi's up, though. You feel me? He lives by the phrase, art never dies, and success is what you make it. And boy, has he made something special. Welcoming to the Busyverse, the co-founder and creative director of Tier, Entrepreneur Festival, and Art Never Dies Foundation, Nigeria Ealey. Welcome to the show, my brother.
It is a pleasure to be there, and that was an immaculate intro.
Thank you, man.
That was great.
You know, I try to make my guests feel special. Today, there could be love between 06 and 1911. You know, we could show each other some love today. How you feeling, though?
I'm feeling good. Tired.
You want to move your mic back so you don't got to lean in? Yeah, get comfortable, man. We family. We good.
I'm feeling good, though. I'm tired. Just got off a flight last night. Been in meetings all day. So that little jet lag mixed with just being tired from the past week. But other than that, I'm good.
Always working, making sure that we are dressed to the nines. So let's jump into this whether you like. Whether you like Rockaware or Echo, Sunny Digital or Metro, pork chops or neck bones, Ben & Jerry's or Cold Stone. What was you rocking back in the day as a youth? Was you rocking Rockaware or Echo?
Definitely Rockaware.
Okay.
I feel like, yeah, that was a lot just now.
It took you back? It's all right. I'm going to run through it. You got to remember.
Rockaway and Echo definitely, you know, respect to both, but
yeah.
Rockaway is like one of the holy grails of my childhood.
Yeah.
It's funny because I was actually looking at an old picture of me from middle school the other day, and I had on a black Rockaware tee with like the big R, the big white R in the front. It was actually my middle school yearbook photo.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, those are the days, man.
Yeah,
Rockaware,
that was a good time.
Echo. I'm trying to remember what else we wore back. Sean John, of course. Can't forget Sean John.
Definitely.
G Unit had its clothing run for a while.
Definitely had those tinks.
Definitely did.
Hats, all that.
Yeah, fashion it's evolved, but those times you could just never forget them. You can never forget them.
Yeah, nostalgic for real.
Now, Sonny Digital or Metro Boomin? Who you fucking with on the production side?
Sonny has produced and helped create some amazing songs.
Yeah.
So is Metro.
Mm-hmm. It's a tough one,
but it's definitely tough. It's tough.
People don't really like.
It's tough, but like both of them equally. Like I just remember my college years, right? And hearing those tags and hearing those drops, and like this is early on with like the ATL music culture.
Yeah, man.
Coming back into the forefront. So like 2012, 13, 14.
Yep.
And just seeing how they are like evolved from then to now also.
Yeah.
I'm gonna definitely go Metro. I'm gonna definitely go Metro. Rocking with his last project, Heavy.
That's really good.
There's a few songs on there that I keep in rotation currently. I was actually just listening to the album on my way here. So yeah.
Yeah, Trance. I listen to Trance
I was just listening to Trance.
Trance is my shit. Trance is great.
I can't recall the name of the other song I'm thinking about currently. But it was Don Toliver and Future. Too Many Nights?
Yeah.
Too Many Nights.
Don and Future was all over that shit. Like it was really the Don Future 21 showcase. But definitely a good project. Definitely a good project.
Facts.
So, yeah, I would agree. But there's no disrespect to Sonny. Sonny Digital is incredible. A legend. So, pork chops or neck bones? What we got here?
Neither.
I
don't eat meat.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm pescatarian.
Okay.
So I don't eat seafood.
I respect that.
When I don't eat seafood, I eat vegan food.
Okay.
And naturally, even when I did used to eat like chicken, beef, pork, I never liked those anyway. Like that.
I respect it. Yeah. As a kid, I didn't really fuck with pork chops. Like it took me some time. As I got older, I appreciated them more, and I started making my own now. Like I'll be cooking a lot more.
Oh yeah, so you got your own swag.
Yeah, finessing myself. So yeah, I feel that. I respect that. And lastly, the battle of the ice creams: Ben and Jerry's or Cold Stone.
Once again, like Cold Stone is like a holy grail. Like,
Cold Stone is like the hibachi of ice creams. Like, seeing them finesse the shit in front of you.
Yeah, like, I remember after school going downtown Brooklyn to Atlantic Mall, and there was a Cold Stone there, and everybody was just being there, just getting ice cream. It's definitely something that I had like every day. Ben and Jerry's is just like, that's quality ice cream.
Yeah, it's just reliable. It's always there.
Yeah.
You don't always see a Cold Stone.
It's like that's that like sensual ice cream. And I think bigger than that, I personally love Ben and Jerry's content on social media.
Yeah,
like their page is phenomenal.
They're great.
Like
absolutely.
they dominate social.
For sure.
Look at me trying to slide out that question. Damn. I'm gonna go. I love Ben and Jerry's, but I'm gonna go Cold Stone for the nostalgia.
I respect that. Yeah, I would probably say Cold Stone's like higher quality. That's like the luxurious ice cream. Like you don't you don't always see a Cold Stone. So when you see it, you gotta go. Ben and Jerry's holds it down. It's kind of like I don't know. It's always there.
Yeah.
Like you go to 7-Eleven, all the pints. You go anywhere, they gonna have a lot of Ben and Jerry's pints. They might not have the Cold Stone pints. It's less accessible. So I feel that. Being that we're gonna be talking a lot of fashion shit, we got to do a fit check, bro. Like, tell the people what you got on as a swaggy brother.
Calm day. I just came from the studio. I'm wearing unreleased Tier track jacket.
Okay.
From our newest project coming, Project 5, Tier University. I'm wearing tier maze pants. Simple worker pants, but the attention is in the detail from the stitching going up in the back.
I rock with that.
Got on some co-made forces. These is like one of my everyday sneakers. Comfy and just a like classic, well, just like a nice spin on a classic shoe. And a unreleased tier hat as well.
I need that one. Yeah, I was looking at that. I was like, that looks.
So,
yeah, the detail in the card. I was like, okay, yeah, that's tier. I need that.
I think one thing that I try to do every day is wear my own brand. Like I think I do well at it. At least
that's got to be dope too.
At least 98% of the time, I'm gonna give myself 98. You know,
that's hard. That's hard, especially because like
probably more.
It's one thing to like wear your own stuff and it not necessarily be at the level of tier, but like the levels y'all have ascended to, which we'll talk about later, like you walking around wearing it and people see me and like wearing it and like they notice it, like random people on the street like, oh, you rocking tier, like shit. I'm like, yeah. Like
you know what's funny is I always hear those like kind of stories where it's like if somebody meets somebody else wearing tier, or if somebody sees someone just walking by, you know, like it's always just a convo starter.
Yeah.
Or it always feels like a, you know, network of people almost, right?
Yep.
Like that bond where it's like, oh, you got on tier, I got on tier, let's be friends. So let's be like, you know. And so many people have told me like conversations have started in airports, restaurants, parties, anything just from wearing tier, you know. And that's something that me personally, like I'm always grateful for.
Yeah.
Like just to know not only people who wear the clothes and actually like it, but the sense of community that it builds when people wear it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's more than just clothing, for real.
Yeah, and for like me personally, like I think I'm a true black believer and people should like they should be walking billboards for their brands. You know, if you have a brand, I should know you have a brand. You know, particularly in fashion, if you make clothes or things like that, I shouldn't see you in like a different brand every day. Like, when do you ever wear your own stuff?
Yeah, no, that's facts. You spitting. That's good advice for the people out there.
So yeah, you know,
pushing brands.
And granted, I like side of me wearing my own brand. You know, like I wear a lot of my friends' brands. You know, because they also make fire pieces.
Yeah.
But I think mainly you should always be a representation of your brand.
Spitting, dropping gems early. We gonna get into it. We gonna get into it. Let's jump into this chat. Grammys recap. The Super Bowl of music occurred this weekend. Before we talk about the music, we know that you attended some very prestigious events. The elusive, highly coveted Rock Nation Brunch. How was it?
It was a great feeling.
Yeah, that was your first one, right?
Yeah, the first one. Great feeling. I think ultimately for me, it's not always about being in spaces, but more about the energy within spaces.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people want to be in a lot of places, you know, but energy is a whole different thing, you know, and I think just the elegance, the conversations, you know, and just how open and friendly people were. And just to know that, you know, everybody's there as individuals doing their own thing based off what they do, whether it's in music or any other industry.
Right.
But really being able just to have conversation, you know, and just to bond without anything extra, you know. And I just also just love seeing us just dress up too.
Facts.
Right? So yeah, like I think for me, I'm still processing like a lot of it. Like I did interact with like a lot of my favorite people from either from when I was young or more recently. So like that was a moment for me. But overall, like it was just a great time. You know, I really enjoyed it, and yeah.
And I'm sure it was gratifying knowing that ultimately your hard work allowed you to be in that space as well. Like you were more focused on the energy and, you know, everyone looking great, but it's also like you because it's a status thing. Like for people want to go to the Rock Nation brunch because they feel like they made it, but for you, it's like you you earned your place there by creating something that resonates with the people. So I'm sure that was
definitely. I think one of the biggest things is, I think for me, I always like to say, you know, if you're meant to be somewhere, it's gonna happen.
right.
A lot of politics, a lot of things, but I feel like if you're meant to be somewhere, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You know, and for me, I'm a strong believer of I'm always in the right place at the right time. Mainly because I try my best to disassociate with places that I don't feel serve me or I benefit from or I can contribute to also, right?
Facts.
I think a big thing is being able to contribute to spaces that you're in. A lot of times people talk about, you know, what they got from something, but what can you add to something? And yeah, like, you know, like, once again, like, I'm just still processing it a lot. One of my boys, B-Dot, it was just the randomest thing. It was the randomest thing, and I was like, oh shit, this is really happening right now. I was just walking around, you know, seeing people that I knew, saying hi, giving hugs, things like that. Seeing B-Dot, give him a pound. I'm like, yo, what's good? We just there chopping it up. And he's just like randomly like, you want to meet Hove? And I'm just like, all right, cool. But it's like Hove is literally standing like three people over.
Yeah.
And he taps Hove and was just like, this is Nigeria, this is where he from, this is what he do. And I gave Hove like pound, and I was just telling him like, hey, this is me, this is what I do. And it was just like, I was trying to keep it real short.
Right.
Because it's like, I don't want to overly speak or just say like anything.
Of course.
You know, but I think that was a good like moment. Especially because for me personally, I'm like, you know, I grew up in Farragut Projects, downtown Brooklyn, my whole life until I was like 19 years old, you know. But I also grew up in Marcy because my family lived there. My cousin, my aunt, my grandmother, I had family that lived there. And ironically, they lived in Hove's old building. Mm-hmm. So it's like you cannot like imagine early 2000s how Marcy is. Same thing for Farragut, same thing for Fort Greene, all those neighborhoods. And for me to be where I'm at now, doing the things that I'm doing and trying to create this path of my own and to see a successful Black billionaire now that comes from the same, if not worse, and like environment, you know, to me that means something. It's bigger than it being Hove. And, you know, for me when I was younger, this is somebody that made it from the circumstances that I was in or I'm in, you know, and took it to a whole different level. Yeah. And that for me also helped me be the person that I am in terms of like, I'm gonna make it out. I'm gonna do what I gotta do. I'm gonna stay focused. Yes, you know, we learn like along the way, but that's part of the process, you know. And that's how I kind of look at like anybody that I really expect, whether it's in like music, art, fashion, things like that. I always look at, you know, how are their stories similar to mine? You know, what can I take from this? How can what I do also, you know, propel me to be in a space where I am able to create change, or in a space where I am able to like spark conversation or help somebody benefit in some type of way, you know?
I think the dope thing about that is in 15, 20 years when there's a tier brunch or something, someone from Brooklyn.
I mean, listen, tier events always go up, so we know that.
There's going to be someone from your area who's doing something who gets to be in your presence, and it's going to be a similar experience. So we just create those ripple effects. So
definitely.
It's really dope to see someone who had that experience look at it so humbly, as opposed to being like, nigga, I met Hove, like I dap Hove up, like you're really taking it in in a meaningful type of way. Like, and I admire that, because this whole clip could have been, I think I met Hove. Hove said, "Tears dope," all this, but like, this is powerful. This is really powerful for me to hear.
I mean, for me personally, like, I always know where I come from and what I've like experienced in life to where I'm at now, and I don't take nothing for granted. I'm grateful for everything. Pray every day, meditate every day. and try to just always put my best foot forward, you know. And once again, I think bigger than it just being me being around other like people, right? And a lot of things that I tell some of my friends or family when they ask like if I met like certain people and things like that, I would just be like, you know, for me, I realize that they're human beings also.
Fact.
And I've never been like I've never been like a super fanned out person whenever I like meet people. Because for me to like an artist or things like that, I have to like their story or respect what they do and just things like that. So for me, when I do, it's always that humble experience where like I don't want pictures, I don't want anything. I just want to tell you how you impacted my life and literally tell you like, hey, you'll see me soon.
Yeah,
it's funny because that's literally what I did. Like the first time that I met Ye, I was just like, my name is Nigeria. This is what I do. You will see me soon one day. I don't know how, I don't know when, I don't know where, but you know, my work is going to speak to where I end up in life.
Yeah.
And that's how I kind of look at everything. You know, I focus on what I'm doing. I never, like, I can admire or have inspo from other places, but like, my mind is like moving on its own.
Yeah, that's real. That's real. Man, speaking of Hove, we got to get into this Beyonce thing. So Beyonce made history. She is the winningest artist in Grammy history with 32 Grammys. Unfortunately for many, the narrative was still no Album of the Year award. How'd you feel about how the Album of the Year results ended up with Harry Styles as it was winning? A lot of people were frustrated that Renaissance didn't get it, and
yeah, definitely
just general frustration at the Grammys. Like, what was your perspective on that?
I mean, I can definitely see the frustration. I was also actively on like Twitter when everybody was talking about it, so
yeah.
You know, everybody like, well, this is the time that you should be here, be there. Or something. Like Twitter was having a feels day. I think Renaissance was an amazing album.
Fantastic.
I do also think that it should have won album of the year. To me, I can't give a full like opinion because I didn't listen to those other projects, so I can't also say that they don't deserve that.
Right.
I'm like, that's not my fan base. I don't listen to that. Music, like, you know, like I like never like really listened to that music.
Right.
Not to say that I won't, but I think overall I can't be a judge of that. You know, I know that I truly and thoroughly enjoyed Renaissance. I know I'm trying to go to the tour. Those songs are still in rotation, but yeah, you know, I don't think it would be fair to say that somebody else didn't deserve it because I'm a Beyonce fan.
Yeah, no, and that's a good perspective to have because the stands, who I think a lot of them did not listen to Harry Styles.
Like, I've never listened to Harry Styles' album to say, hey, he didn't deserve this.
Which is fine, but that for everyone. But I always just try to tell people, like, don't denounce something that you haven't heard just because you like something better. Like, my boy Cameron Hay made a great point. Like, Renaissance, As It Was, and Bad Bunny's Un Verano Sin Ti, they all checked all the boxes.
Right.
They were all viable candidates. And at the end of the day, we know what the Grammys is about. Like, we know that they're not going to give the proper recognition to black music that deserves things. Like, yes, we have the rap category. We should sweep the rap category. We've had the Macklemore years and all that, but like that's something we should sweep. But we also got people who do more and aim higher. And it was good to see the presence of Mary J. Blige in those overall categories. Khaled was in a couple of them. Beyonce was in them. But I unfortunately wasn't surprised. It's like you're disappointed, but you're not surprised. Like that's just what happens to us.
I think I wasn't. I mean, for me, I don't even look at it as like a us thing when it comes to that. In particular, I just think, you know, for example, I've never heard Harry Styles' music, but I've heard his name more times than I can count this past year.
He's out here. He's doing his thing.
Right? Even we were talking about Drake's last album where Drake mentioned him like 5-6 times throughout that whole album.
Yeah.
Right? I've never listened to Harry Styles, but hey, there's people listening to him.
Yeah.
Bad Bunny, you know, I have a plethora of friends that love Bad Bunny that also was on Twitter like, hey, like Bad Bunny should have won.
Yeah.
You know, I like know some songs. Can I articulate a whole album and say like, hey, well, Bad Bunny should have won, or Harry, you know? So I think ultimately it went down to not only the wider fan base, I guess, but you know, whatever else factors play into that.
Yeah. That's really what it is. One thing I did like was the hip hop 50th anniversary tribute performance. They had everybody up there: Black Thought, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, Queen Latifah, Missy Elliott, LL Cool J, Ice-T, The Lox was up there, Lil Baby, Glorilla, Lil Uzi Vert. They had so many people. The Big Boy, like that was really dope. Like,
Not right.
For an award show that people feel like doesn't give hip hop and rap its just due, to give us that look in our 50th anniversary, I was like, okay, Grammys, like, yeah, I don't always get it right, but that's something you should do. You should give us that platform.
Right.
And we showed out. 13-minute performance. So many, like, Busta Rhymes up, like, so many people that they got.
That.
It was dope. It was really, I genuinely enjoyed that. And, like, I was kind of ambivalent to the show. Like, I had to watch it because I had to cover it for work. But that's a moment where I, like, looked up and was, like, rocking. Like, I really enjoyed that.
Nah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, that, like, the whole performance was, like, phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think what I wish, though, is I wish that the transition of the time period
I was going to get into that.
was, like, better, because it's, like,
we went from the Lox to Lil Baby.
Yeah, like, you went from the Lox to Lil Baby.
Skipped, like, 15 years.
And it's, like, damn, well, what happened to, like, all these early years with, like, Dipset and, like, Weezy.
Yeah,
and
Ross was there. Ross was in the goddamn performance,
yeah,
but it's like
you
could have got
Meek, you know,
Wale.
Yeah, right.
Like,
so I'm thinking about like early 2010s. You know, like Meek Mill, when like he first came out, he performed my freshman year of college at LIU Brooklyn, 2011. You know, like that's a while ago.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about like the Migos era, the Rich Homie Quan era, like the Young Thug era. Like obviously, you know, free Thug.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like,
yeah,
you know, I just feel like a few timelines was like missing. You know, but I'm definitely happy that like Baby and Uzi got that platform. Like you know, like those are two of the hottest out currently.
Yeah.
You know,
Lil Baby doing freestyle at the Grammys.
Yeah,
that's a moment.
And he did freestyle.
That's a moment.
And he did freestyle.
Because you would assume like he would do one of the more, and freestyle is like known. It's one of his cult classic hits,
I just wish the transition into freestyle was better. Like
I agree.
The like song prior to that was just like, damn, how you just jump into freestyle like right after this?
Yeah.
You know, but I was definitely hyped when Uzi came out. Definitely hyped when Uzi came out. I think like that was a big moment too. Yeah. You know, because that song
it's hard.
That song got it right now. It got it.
My thought is that they probably asked a lot of those people to be there, and they probably didn't want to do it. Which
probably
on the one hand sucks because hip hop 50th anniversary, we want all of our generation represented. But I also understand like standing your ground against the Grammys. The Grammys have done Nicki Minaj dirty. Drake has felt slighted by them. Cole, Kendrick was there. Like, you know, it was like I get both sides, and I agree the transition was weird. I'm not gonna like fully complain because overall I did enjoy it, but it was definitely weird. I agree. Right. It was very weird. Kendrick Lamar, gentleman sweeps the rap categories with the exception of best melodic rap performance. Future, Drake, Thames, they won for Wait For You. Wasn't really surprised by that either.
Wait For You deserved that.
It absolutely.
But shout outs to K-Dot on all the other categories. He deserved that and more.
It's his album is very polarizing for people. A lot of people feel like it wasn't deserving, but for me, it's like, as we've seen with the Grammys, if Kendrick is nominated, he's winning everything. We saw it with Damn. We saw it with The Pimp a Butterfly. And I think of that category, while I did like the Future album more, I didn't expect them to give Future best rap album, which sucks.
Nah, I think for me, Kendrick deserved those. You know, I think what the album did for me and like a lot of other people last year, you know, it was a powerful album.
It was really good.
It was very like powerful, and it was vulnerable, and it was raw. And I think when I listen to music personally, like I like to see the transition in the artist and the transition and how they grow. You know, a lot of times when you think about music, you think about fashion, you think about any creative field, honestly.
Yeah.
You know, people always want you to be like how you started. You know, and I realize that most times, like the way you started is most times a stepping stool. Right? And naturally, we grow as people, right? We grow in our mindset, we grow in our habits, we grow in what we like, what we don't like. Things that may have been cool to us 5, 10 years ago may not be cool to us now. And we also build the confidence to tell our stories better.
Yeah.
Right? So when I like hear songs like Mama I'm Sober, you know, like those hit.
Count Me
right?
Out.
Because like
Mirror.
this is vulnerability. This is like vulnerability Jay-Z showed in 444 when he's speaking about his mom. Right? This is like vulnerability that Kanye did on 808s and Heartbreak. And it just shows growth. It shows character. And I think depending on how we listen to music, you know, a lot of people are in a I just want to turn up, rah-rah, party, this and that phase. But if you're listening to music for context, for depth, for understanding, and for growth, then this album was perfect.
I would never say it wasn't a good album. So I really wasn't surprised that to see it win, and I agree with pretty much everything you said. More so, just look again. It's a situation of people wanting their favorites to win, like Future being nominated, or the Pusha T fans, Pusha T making shirts
and
for it out.
Pusha, Future, fantastic albums. Pusha album was probably my favorite album, right? Because it was so raw and like every song hit, like every beat, the production, everything hit, and you know, and Pusha gonna always talk his shit, but it was like this way was like I'm luxury shit talking too, you know. Future, I feel like Future like evolves naturally every album project that he like does, you know. Like, not to say that that's expected from Future, but like I think he's mastered a way of how he likes to do music, and I think it works extremely well. And I think, you know, Future is somebody that we're gonna always check for.
Facts. He's bigger than a
You
Grammy.
know, like he's bigger than like, you know, like
we don't need a
Future
Grammy to
is
validate
like,
him.
He's like stamped.
Yeah.
You know, all of them are stamped.
Yep.
You know, all of them.
Yep.
But you know, Future is, you know, like Future's Future.
Yeah. That's it.
Like that, like there's no other way to like say it.
Simple as that.
Granted, there's no other like K-Dot to me either.
Yeah, absolutely not.
There's no other Pusha T to me either.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know, like they're all unique artists.
Yeah.
They're all unique in the way that they tell their stories. So yeah.
Yeah. The In Memoriam tribute, that song Quavo made for Takeoff, like it hit me in the feels when I first heard it, and then just seeing it live, seeing him hold up Takeoff's chain like that, it really it was heavy. It was very very heavy. Admittedly though, it was tough to not see Offset up there. You know, we still don't really know what happened. They reportedly got into a scuffle after the performance or before the performance that night. And I'm never gonna judge people's grief. I'm never gonna get in people's business. We're not entitled to know what happened. But for me, as a fan of them, it just sucks that they couldn't even reconcile to do a tribute to Takeoff, because that is Quavo's nephew, but that's Offset's cousin too. Like, and the Grammys wanted Offset up there. So as far as we know, Quavo was not with it. Yeah. So whatever happened between them and Quavo, it's something that he can't look past, which sucks. Like that really sucks.
I guess we don't really know the ins and outs of like what happened, how it happened, why it happened.
Yeah.
You know, and there's also like a lot of he say, she say on social media.
Exactly.
But I can agree. Like, I would have loved to see both of them up there. You know, to me, like, we're used to the Migos, right? Granted, we love each of them as individuals.
Yeah.
You know, I do think, once again, like, everybody has their own way of grieving, their own way of dealing with problems and issues. And, you know, I'm not going to also say that everything is reconcilable at a certain point. You know, I think, and I'm hopeful that they'll like eventually be good, but I don't think a performative
Reconciliation.
reconciliation for
That's
the
a good way to look at it.
Grammys
Yeah, that's a good point.
is the thing. You know, like, yes, we would have loved to see it.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure Offset would have loved to be a part of that moment also. But I think as family, you know, sometimes family need time.
That's facts.
You know, and sometimes, you know, I like eventually they'll be good. When like you still hear Offset speak about it, why would y'all think I'm gonna fight my brother? Like, at the end of the day, family goes through things, and I think once again be like, because of who they are, a lot of things are put in the mainstream, or a lot of things are like assumed. But, you know, I think they'll get it right when it's time to.
Yeah.
You know, and I think they both understand that life is short.
Yeah.
And that they both just lost one of the closest people in their life, and ultimately the third piece of their puzzle.
The one who was pushing them
Right.
to really rap.
You
like,
know.
he's like, Takeoff was the one rapping before any of them. So that's a good point, though.
Yeah,
I didn't look at it that way. So that's a good, like, performative reconciliation. While it would have been good for us fans,
Yeah, like,
what would
it'd
it
have
do
been
for
good
them?
for us, but is it good for them?
That's a good
And,
point.
you know,
That's a really
once
good
again,
point.
like, I always like to think about the person.
That's
you
a
know,
really good point.
Granted, I want to see a lot of things happen.
Yeah.
You know, that don't
Yeah.
mean that it should.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
So yeah.
It's a good perspective. That's a really good perspective. But yeah, that's our Grammys recap. Let's hear some tunes. Let's jump into, you can throw the headphones on. And let's see what Frank Ocean got to say.
Living in the Barry Heights,
It's a classic right
the
there.
Black Beverly Hills.
Okay.
Now Frank is what?
Yeah, yeah.
Frank is that nigga for real, for real.
I don't know if you saw, we didn't get to talk about it. He put out like these merch posters, and he had like this like narrative written on the back, and he was talking about how around it was either 2019, 2020 when he put out those singles, DHL, In My Room. He was planning to put out singles because the label was pushing him to. And then he kind of got to a point where he was like, no, I want to put an album out. So, you know, the Frank Ocean albums are always elusive, but talking like that, saying I don't want to be a singles guy no more, I want to put an album out. We might have to wait another 3 years, but at least we know Frank is in album mode mentally. So that's definitely exciting because I know people have been waiting on that for a while. But to get into these slides, what'd you bring for us to play today, good sir?
Me?
Yeah, you. My bad. Yeah. What you got for us?
Oh, songs.
Yeah.
I'm listening to a lot of songs right now. I know the one that I sent you for sure was RZA.
Yeah.
It's off a French new album with Benny and DJ Drama.
Yes, sir.
Like, that song slaps. I don't think like a lot of people. I'm not really sure if a lot of people listen to French new album yet.
I definitely have.
But
This is gonna be my first time hearing
But
this.
but like, that's a solid project.
Okay,
It's a solid project for sure, for sure.
Produced by Cool and Dre. Let's hear it.
He smoked that.
That was hard. That was hard.
Smoked that.
I was really like I said, I haven't really been listening to French albums like that, so I haven't heard him rap like that in a while. He's usually doing the auto-tune, singing,
French is wild in this
pop
album.
type stuff, but that was a hard verse from him. I like the tone of his voice. Like, it was more gritty, more. It reminded me of old French, like when I first started listening in high school.
Yeah,
like the Mac and Cheese era.
It's like another one on there with him and Rob 40.
Oh, 49, Rob 49.
Oh yeah. Rob 49. That song is tough.
Okay, I'll have to check it out. Yeah, I was impressed with that. And Benny, I love Benny. Like he's great. He's great. And that verse was great too. A lot of cool punchlines there. So.
Oh yeah,
it's
definitely.
a great track. Great track. You just put me, because honestly, I don't know if I would have listened to this. Like, hey, I got to listen to a lot of music for work, and a French album, I'm kind of just like, but this is cool. This
album was fire.
Absolutely. So yeah, that was RZA, French Montana, DJ Drama, Benny the Butcher, produced by Cool and Dre. From my track, I brought a 2016 classic. We got "Don't Touch My Hair" by Solange, featuring Sampha. This is produced by a lot of different people: Radio, Patrick Wimberly, Brandon Cook, David Andrew Sitek, Solange, and Sampha. So let's get into "Don't Touch My Hair." Great song, amazing album. Great to hear Sampha as always. I had to let the Sampha rock. He's just been Sampha's, we miss you, man. You got to pop out, give us an album, Sampha. It's been way too long. But yeah, powerful record. Love the progression of it. Solange is obviously an incredible vocalist. Just there's really nothing you can say about something that great. So, of course, listeners, if you want to hear these tracks and all tracks, you get the Stay Busy Slide Deck playlist on all platforms at the link tree in our IG or Twitter bio. And if you want to send us a track, whether you're an artist or a fan trying to put us onto something, you can DM us at StayBusyPod or email us at StayBusyPod@gmail.com. You can take your headphones off. Before we get into our interview, we got a game for you, good sir. This game is called The Next Tier.
Did you just make this up?
So shout out to my producer, Nick Earley. Shout out to my producer. He's good at what he does. So I'm going to present you with a scenario, and you're going to give us the best advice or tips on how we can take things to the next tier. Are you ready, good sir?
Bet. Let's do it.
All right. So general wardrobe tips, personal sense of fashion, and honestly, you can help me out. Like, I have really started to invest more in my style. Been buying more kicks. Obviously, been buying a lot of Tier. Been buying a lot of Sandir. Shout out to Kwani with Sandir, New York. So shit, help me out. Like, how can I improve the fit?
With your current fit or just like fits in general?
I mean, this or anything in general, for real, bro. Like, don't worry. I got tough skin. I could take it.
I think I'm gonna just give like wardrobe.
Okay.
I think in general, always like having like classic and staples work.
Mm-hmm.
I think I like to have like a lot of like just classics and like staples. I really just go crazy with like buying sneakers. Sneakers are like my thing to buy, but in terms of like clothing, like just something clean, like this jacket you got on, like
Pretty good.
You know, that's a versatile piece. Like you could wear it with like a graphic tee under.
Yeah.
You could wear it with some suit pants. You know, you could dress it up and dress it down. So I always think like pieces that you can dress up and dress down work. Bigger than that, I think pieces that represent your personality. So for example, like I like graphics. You know, like a lot of people don't really like graphics. I'm big on like graphic tees or just things that will like remind me of a like certain point or period in like time.
Right.
You know, and for me as the designer also, I have to be able to have like the best of both worlds. Like I can get really creative or we can keep it really like minimalistic. And you know, and they're both tier.
Yeah.
Right? So still creating that balance between if I see something minimalistic and something creative, it still resonates to like the brand. So I think, yeah, just one for your wardrobe, just keeping pieces that you know you can enter like change also. I like, especially if you don't have like a super big budget or you can't buy everything, pieces that work well with multiple things inside your closet works.
Yeah. Do you feel like fashion sense can be taught?
I would say what's the fashion sense then? You know, everybody has their own style.
True.
You know, I think fashion is subjective. Fashion is expressive. That's the word that I think however you dress, you should feel good. You know, if you feel good with the way you dress, then hey, you know, I think people should wholeheartedly feel good. Me personally, if I could, I would wear a sweatsuit or a tracksuit every day. That's just me. Personally, I like sweatsuits and tracksuits.
Yeah.
You know, can I wear suits and still look good? Yeah. I just did it this past weekend. Can I wear regular clothes like pants and jeans and stuff like that? Yeah. You know, but I would prefer to wear tracksuits or sweatsuits if I could every day. You know, I unfortunately can't. But you know,
All right. Okay.
that's the message. I think people should wear what they feel most comfortable in and what they look and what best represents them.
What you wearing to a first date? Like, what's the fit for a first date? And I guess where you're going matters too, but let's like, what's the thing that comes to your mind? What you wearing to a first date?
Me personally, I'm wearing some pants, some good kicks. I've worn hoodies at times, but I would probably go for like a nice jacket or crew neck. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like I feel like, yeah, I've never thought of that question. Like, what do I wear on this first date? I just like, you know, like when I'm about to go outside and look good and feel good in, honestly.
Facts.
But obviously you're right too. Like also the like pins on the place and things like that. But then that's how. But you got to know the type of person you're dealing with and where you're going. Also,
That's true. That's true. What advice do you have for an entrepreneur who feels like they've been grinding, but people aren't paying attention?
What are you grinding for?
You asking me, or is that
No,
rhetorical?
that's what I would ask them.
What are they grinding for? The validation?
Are you grinding for other people's like approval, or are you grinding because this is what you want to do? You know, people are gonna either like what you do or not like what you're gonna do. People are gonna see what you do and not see what you do. People are gonna see what you do and act like they don't see what you do. So yeah, so what are you like doing it for? And that's the question that I would ask. You know, I think obviously as artists, we all want our work to be visible for people to see it. We want people to like what we do. And we all hope that what we do ultimately changes our lives in some way or form. But that all starts with how good you feel about what you do. So I think, You know, as long as you're doing what you love and you're staying consistent and you are making strides daily, eventually whatever you want or need, it'll be there, you know, because there's people that have the success without the validation. People you walk by, I'm pretty sure you walk by successful people, millionaires every day, and you will not know who they are, their names, their anything. You know? So that's what I would ask, like, what are you doing this for? Are you doing this because you want others to validate this, or are you doing this because this is your purpose and you feel like God has this calling for you that you should be doing this? All right? I tell people, like, whether I have a good day or bad day, I do what I love every day. I can make $0. I can make $100,000. Every day is different, right? But I love what I do. And I'm okay that if I post this video or this clip and it don't get 4,000 likes like the last one did or this and that, like, this is still a part of me. This is still what I'm doing, you know? Yeah. And I think when we stop looking for external validation, you know, once we start validating our like selves, then those things will come, you're right? Like, people only really expect you as much as you respect yourself. So yeah.
It's a great, yeah, you'd probably have someone shook if you, well, what you grinding for? Like,
well, yeah, because, like, you know, I don't know. I guess since I was a like kid, like, I've always had this confidence and like stole in me, where it's like nobody can really tell me that I can't do something or that I won't do something. You know, maybe and I can maybe kind of like tribute, or I like tribute or like a lot of that to like the way my mom raised me, where like I was able to like what I like. If I don't like something, I didn't have to do it. If I wanted to explore something, I was able to do it. So maybe that plays a part in it. But I also think me naturally, I just, you know, I'm going to do something because I want to do it. Because if I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it anyway. And I'm not going to seek people to validate what I'm doing. You know, I can ask 100 people their like opinion about how they feel about this, and I'm gonna still do the opposite thing. I just wanted to know what I just wanted to know what you thought.
just checking the temperature.
Yeah, I'm just checking the tone.
I feel that.
You know,
I feel that.
but that's only because I feel this confidence when I do things. Yeah. To where it's like, you may not see it, but I may see it, and as long as I'm able to see it through, eventually you will see it, and that's how I look at things. Okay. You know, I even look at that one like tier. You know how many items dropped a year ago, 2 years ago that people just see yesterday or today or the other day. And then in my mind, it's like, well, it's been there the whole time. Were you looking? Did it miss you? But it's like, honestly, people don't see everything all the time. Am I going to stop working because I didn't get the reaction I thought I was going to get? You know?
Yeah. It's a lot of instant gratification that can warp your mind into thinking that you're not succeeding.
Yeah, that you're not doing something, and like you are. Like, if you got one order today, or you gained one new customer, or you gained one, like, you know, or whatever your goal is, right? If you gain something, even if it's a lesson, you still gain something. Yeah. You know?
Spitting. How does someone get their shimmy right?
Yo. Actually, do not put that in there. Yeah. You're going to bleep that out.
I got you. We are non-hazing, members of non-hazing organizations.
Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated is a non-hazing fraternity.
Absolutely.
But
trick question. You got that one right.
Only noobs could get their shimmy right. That's it. That's all I'm going to say.
There it is. If you were the GM of your favorite sports team, how would you tell them to get to a championship? What do they got to do to get to the next tier within their league?
Take accountability.
Mm.
I tell everybody that, though. I feel like a lot of people don't take accountability and what they do.
That's very true. Well, what is your favorite sports team?
I'm not really into sports.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
I don't really watch sports.
But that's still a very important thing.
But I feel like that's a changeable skill.
Yeah.
You know, between all like fields.
Absolutely.
If I had to pick a favorite team, actually, yeah, no. Actually, no.
It's not looking good in New York right now. Nets and Knicks, so I understand.
No, but yeah, I feel like accountability is the biggest thing that somebody can do.
Yeah.
Because it opens up the door for growth. Mm-hmm. It opens up the door to see where you went wrong and how you can improve.
Yeah.
And it also lets people know that they don't have to hold you accountable because you're already holding yourself accountable.
Yeah.
And I think that's something big that I live by. I never want to give somebody a chance to tell me something about myself that I already didn't tell myself.
Yeah. And sometimes those moments where someone who knows you well tells you about yourself are necessary. Like Nick would do that with me, but I too really value accountability.
Yeah. But self atonement means everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
you want to be able to not always have people check you. You want to be able to realize where you went wrong in situations. You know.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest flaws is somebody that thinks that they do nothing wrong.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Or somebody that thinks that it's somebody else's fault.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
And why I say accountability, because we're talking about a team sport.
Yep.
Right? So that's even more important.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's cool to point out everything from the other players, but where did you go wrong? What could you have done better?
Yeah.
You know? And once we're in a place that we can take accountability for what we do, I think that allows, once again, that room for growth and that room to win, right? Because if everybody's taking that accountability, we all know what we have to do. We all know where we went wrong, you know? Because the other worst thing is telling somebody that they're wrong or they can be better, and then them not seeing it, so they can't or won't change. Right? So when you can see for yourself that you need to fix something, because I can tell you something over and over again, until you see it for yourself, most times the same pattern is going to repeat itself and repeat itself and repeat itself.
It's got to be intrinsic. I talk to my therapist about it all the time. I remember years ago I was focused on simply being self-aware, which is really just the first step. Accountability and self-awareness go hand in hand, but it's the execution. It's all right, I have this knowledge of myself.
Now, what are you going to do with it? I
know what I need to fix, but if I don't fix it, then it just stays broken. Yeah. And a lot of people think, knowing that, a lot of people promote, oh, I'm so self-aware, I'm so self-aware. Well, you're not doing nothing with it. So what, it's wasted knowledge at that point. So
right.
I completely agree. I completely feel you on that. But, man, let's get into you. So grew up in Brooklyn. I know that you had interest in the arts and entertainment and media management upon getting to college. But young Nigeria, what were your interests 6, 7 years old?
6, 7 years old, I was probably some of the same interests now. I feel like none of my interests really changed. I still love a lot of the same shit, literally. Cartoons, anime, nature. I was very adventurous back then. I'm still very adventurous. I'm also big on I like doing things by myself sometimes. So I would just go explore places when I was younger, and it's now I would be on a flight to a different country by myself, literally, and just hey, it's meant for me to see the world, and if it's not, then well, I lived a good one. But yeah, so just very, very adventurous, just curious about I've always had this curiosity of life.
Yeah.
And knowing what's out there. I like understanding why things work. I like understanding, patterns and habits. So I'm still interested in a lot of the same things. And that's just like exploring, designing, art. I would say teenage years, I was like heavy on just like fashion. More so mainly because almost every school that I went to, I had to wear a uniform. So it's like whenever I got a chance to get dressed,
Put that shit on. You put that
it's
shit
like,
on.
yeah, I'm about to come to school Friday and fuck y'all up real quick. So like, yeah, like literally. And then I was also like just having like a lot of parties at that time. Like I'm like, this is back in Brooklyn when like teams were like popping. And anybody that grew up in Brooklyn and know teams, it was like you had like all these different groups of teenagers that made their own cliques, and we were all doing photo shoots and having parties and just like having a time, honestly. So I've been having like Vince since I was like 15 years old.
Wow.
You know, and it's funny because I feel like like Vince and production, like that's one of my first loves. Whereas like I had mentioned earlier about how I just naturally feel about me. So be like, cause I feel that way about me, I just like seeing other people happy.
Right.
So whenever I used to have parties and things like that, it's like, oh shit, I'm making somebody else have a good time. Cause I'm naturally on the high. Like I'm naturally gonna have a good time. You know, so I think having a like Vince for like me was that way of like bringing people together and seeing people have fun. So yeah, big on like Vince. Younger me was definitely probably a little bossy. So I think that like probably transitions into like you now like when I like speak about management or like just things like that, you know, because I've always had like I feel like I just always know how to make something shake, basically. For lack of better words, is like I can almost see things happening. So it's like we just got to get there. Like we just got to get there. Like this has already happened. It's already been written. It's just about getting to the end of that process. And you know, like I don't know. I feel like I've always just had good managerial skills, mainly because like I'm like a self thinker a lot. So it's just like I think this will work, and most times it always works. So you know, thank God for that.
I feel that. Then you started at LIU 2011. What made you choose LIU? Obviously, your major is graphic design, arts, entertainment, media management. They all make sense. But what made you choose LIU?
Yeah, LIU is like my home. LIU is like one of my second homes. I think prior to me going to LIU, I used to go up to LIU a lot, mainly because my mom went to LIU.
Legacy thing.
So my mom got her bachelor's and master's from LIU, and she was getting her PhD from LIU also. Unfortunately, the year that I started LIU, my mom passed.
Sorry.
So it was like, you know, like that was a tough time, but it was like I definitely have to go here and make it work, you know, and like make something happen, you know. I'm at LIU, damn near all like the faculty, staff, teachers, like they know my mom. So like I definitely had that love when I came in. But yeah, it was just more so like LIU felt like home, and it was that like legacy to me. Yeah, like I just felt that connection there, and I was like, I definitely have to go there because this is where my mom went, and where she excelled at, you know. And I'm grateful that I did the same thing. And then my sister went to LIU, and then one of my cousins went to LIU, and now my little brother is a freshman at LIU now. So
that's what's up. Did you feel like, so for me, like my mom, she really pressed going to Cornell on me because she got rejected from there. So she was like, my kid's gonna go, and I went. So shout out to her, she did a great job. Did you feel like there was pressure to go, or it was more so like you really felt that desire within you to be okay?
I think I think earlier, like I mentioned, I was like, you know, like I always like, and this is something that I like appreciate because I have so many friends who tell me different stories about their upbringing and like what their parents made them do or force on them or things like that. And yeah, I was told that I have to go to college, but I wasn't told like, oh, you
Where?
have to go to this college. You
Right.
have to, like, you know, like that was all my own choice.
That's what's up.
You know, and I'm grateful and blessed that I grew up in a household where, you know, my like opinions or my mindset did matter. You know, so yeah, like I genuinely went to LIU because I felt it was like the right thing to do.
Yeah. So you're there doing your thing, you know, college is fun, doing the damn thing, and then 2014 comes around and you get started with Tier. Now we've had Swaggy C on the show, we've had Kojo on, so they've kind of told us how they got connected with you all, but like the making of it, like deciding to start a fashion brand, because a lot of people start a lot of fashion brands in college and high school and all that.
No, yeah, definitely.
And I mean, it's tough managing your college schedule in general, classes, extracurriculars, a life, a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. Like that's tough. But making a full brand and naming it Tier, like what's the backstory behind making Tier in 2014?
Yeah, I think for me personally, like I always wanted to have my own brand. You know, that's been a vision of mine since I was very young. I was super into like fashion, art, animation, and things like that. And all of these were like pillars for me wanting to create something of my own. I like, ironically enough, my freshman year of LIU, I'm working on starting a brand. Wasn't called Tier. The designs were way different. Everything. But I would be in class every day just drawing, sketching, mocking things up. And I'm like, I'm going to have this brand soon. Fast forward 2014. Well, fast forward to 2013 really this is after I crossed. I'm now a member of my organization. And I'm getting cool with like brothers that are in my like chapter. So me and two of my chapter members, we actually all started like Tier. And that's because we just used to always meet up and talk about fashion, talk about art, talk about clothing, and honestly just speak about what we like, didn't like, what we can contribute, and everything boiled down to like we have a story to tell. As a collective, but also as individuals. And on top of that, you know, we feel like we can create something game-changing, you know. And once again, I come from an events background also. So for me, the experiential portion of it has to be there. And it just, everything just really came down to like, hey, like, we all have our own love for art, for the like design and for fashion, and how can we come together to make this something prosperous? And we took it from there. Like we were young college students, never had a fashion internship, never worked at any stores. Like I really didn't have a real job like prior to college. So it was just like learning like as we went, but it was like I knew that I was passionate about something. So once again, like I'm never gonna do something that I don't think that I'm gonna not like down the line. So I've always had that mindset of like if I'm doing this, I'm gonna put my all in it because I naturally don't do things that I don't want to do. And yeah, now we're 8 years later.
We'll get there. Because I'm specifically landing on the name Tier. What made y'all decide the name Tier was?
We went through a lot of different. So that actually went through like a lot of sessions, like a lot of sessions of just like brand naming, logos, things like that. We were coming back with different images, different representations. But then we kept finding like common denominators between what we were doing. And one thing that like sealed the deal was Ealey, who was one of my co-founders. He has a varsity jacket that he designed, his KA side jacket. So you know how you put like our graphics and stuff on the back. So he has the shield coming out of 2 rips because he's a deuce. And he drew the rips. And we were just looking at it, and other images that we made were kind of like resembling like things ripping or tearing apart or things like that. And his was literally 2 rips. And we were like, oh, tear. But let's not spell tear like the way the rips are spelled. Right? So tear is a double entendre, which is why we have our rip logo. And the rip logo is 3 instead of 2 because it's 3 of us.
Gems. Okay.
So, and then as we were speaking about it, we also just kept seeing key words that we want the brand to represent. So we were using words like elevation, structure, things like that. And when we were looking at words that mean these things, for those words, like 2, 3 words, the word tier came up. And then it just made sense with the tier that was in the like drawing. And we were like, oh yeah, this is it. Like this is it. Because we knew as a brand, we just always wanted to keep elevating and pushing forward and have structure while doing it, you know, and just keep reinventing and taking things to new heights and to new levels. All things that encompasses the words here. And yeah, everything else is just history from there.
That's creative as fuck. Mad clever. Wow. I didn't expect that, but that's really dope. Like that's a really dope.
So that's why we have the rip logo because it's like an actual like tier, like an actual rip.
Yeah.
And at that time, our first graphics were our favorite paintings, but like behind the rip logo. So it basically showed that like the shirt was ripping open, and you seen the graphic, but those were to signify like things are always more than meets the eye. Right, so it's always like a deeper message and things like that. So that's where we get into like the actual spelling of like tier, where it's like something that's more kind of like compelling, something that's elevated, something that feels new, like you're entering a new space.
Wow. Fuck that. Now, the early stages of a brand, it's like, okay, we got these ideas. We got our name figured out. Obviously, you don't just open a store and start, making bread. It's like it's a grind. So talk about those early stages of, finding places to, create the ideas you had and distribution and getting your name out there. Like talk about those early growing days.
Definitely a process. Still is a process, like daily. Like especially for tier, I just remember us just starting out, like we were doing college fashion shows. We were selling merchandise out of my dorm room. We had a launch party when we first launched the brand at like this restaurant that was like a couple blocks down. And like a lot of people came out to that, and at that time, a lot of people back then, and this is like, I guess like cool part, where it's like a lot of people back then, even like now, like people in the industry now, a lot of people don't really know me only from tier. Like if somebody is from Brooklyn or from New York City and they're in the industry now, whether it's music, fashion, or things like that, like a lot of us know each other from growing up in Brooklyn. A lot of us know each other from like being mixy, like outside. And then if I'm speaking college, a lot of us know each other from college or from Greek life.
Yeah. That's how you met Swaggy C.
Yeah. So it's like people that I grew up with is supporting the brand, people that I'm going to college with, people that's in these orgs and now supporting. So it was like that family was like kind of built prior to even having a like brand. So when we did launch a brand, granted, it wasn't like hundreds and thousands of like sales and orders, but it was still enough support to keep things going, right? And I like credit that to, the people that we grew up with, or people that seen us hustle and grinding in like college, or the people that seen us starting out a brand and being like, hey, like these dudes from Brooklyn are doing some great things. Like y'all should check them out. And then on like the other side, just me being any and everywhere, you know. Which is why I always say, like, early I was like, you know, well, who are you doing it for? Like, why do you want to do this? Whereas, like, I remember going everywhere imaginable, and I always had to. Like, I remember there was a point in time where I used to drop people's orders off to them. Like, I would have my car full of orders just to make sure people would get their orders on time, make sure that the service was good. I was going to album release parties. I was going to certain events to network, like anywhere there was a panel or a discussion, or I knew like people were going to be at. Like, I'm going there, like I'm pitching my brand, I'm talking about it, I'm getting my clothes to like certain artists. If I'm not getting it to them, I had people that were in spaces that were able to make those connections for me. So like, it's a real grind. It's like a real hustle, and it's like, you know, these are things that like separate people that like really want like something versus people that like say they want certain things. Is like, I was outside for real, like outside for real in the field, making sure that no matter what, like Tier gets seen, Tier gets noticed, and ultimately like I'm putting Tier inside the best light, and I'm putting Tier inside the spaces that I know is going to help us as a brand. And once again, like having those connections to either people that were in the industry, you know. I know you mentioned like C, like, you know, like C used to be at Series, and anytime like C like still is at Series, but anytime like an artist would like come up or things like that, she's like, hey, like I got so and so coming up, like let's get him this or let's get her this, and it was a word. I would just go meet her, get it done, things like that. Yeah, it's just a full out grind.
Yeah.
Just a full out grind. And outside of just being places and going places, like really putting in the time and the effort and the dedication, and also building like a team, you know. And a lot of us, we don't come from backgrounds or places where we're taught how to manage a team or how to interact with like people in a business or professional setting.
Yeah.
We're not taught about like, you know, well, LLCs is needed for this and taxes is needed for this, and you just gotta make sure all your legal is right and things like that. So once again, this is all like learning while we're in the process and while we're doing things. And we've been blessed to come this far, 8 years, you know. For me, once again, this was something that I never took lightly. So it wasn't something that I planned on just doing that as like a little gig in college.
Yeah.
You know, it was something that like I knew like my life depends on this, right?
And you hustle differently when,
and
life is
you know, mainly for me because I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit, and I just always just wanted things that I created and telling the stories that I've been through. You know, like I've been through a lot of different things in life, and it's like we as people need mediums to share our stories. Some people use music as their outlet. Some people use gym as their outlet. For me, it was like, let me tell these stories through clothing. You know, let me tell these experiences through the like events that we provide, through what we do at Tier. You know, let me have other people tell their stories through things like Entrepreneur Festival that we have. Like I said, like I grew up inside the projects my whole life, so it's like seeing what I seen back then and being in those environments to what I'm able to do now, and either the connections that I'm able to make or the rooms that I'm able to be in or things like that. Like I'm like, if I can accelerate somebody else's process now that I know is serious, that I know is motivated, and that I know just has what it takes, you know. Once again, like a lot of people say they want to do things, but it's a different, like I think at like this point you know when people are serious about what they want to do.
100%.
So if I'm ever in a space to excel somebody else, to like accelerate somebody else's process, or provide a resource or a connection or things like that, then I'm gonna do it, because these are all things that I had to figure out.
That's the way
you
it
know,
should be.
and I'm grateful I had to figure it out, but it came with a lot of like taxing things. You know, whether that be mentally or physically or things like that.
Yeah.
But once again, if you get the opportunity to wake up the next day, then that's your chance to do whatever you want to do.
Absolutely. And so I know you were previously an art instructor at Brooklyn Museum, former art teacher at Achievement First Apollo Elementary, and a Blackbird Nation store manager and apparel designer when you were doing your master's at LIU. What do you feel like those outside experiences were able to do for you, and what were you able to apply to Tier through those experiences?
Definitely. So I worked at the museum when I was a teenager. It was like work study. It was like, I'm like, how did you know that? That was like middle school work study. That was like, not even work study. That's like, what's that? Summer youth. But
all of those experiences,
yeah,
even
definitely.
when young, you know, they plant seeds and take things from them. So that's why I thought it was important to ask.
So I was like, for me, I've always loved the museum. You know, like just seeing different artists' takes on life and how they express themselves. You know, that's always been something that's big for me. But then fast forwarding to like after out of my undergraduate years to being a grad student. So I'm in grad school and teaching at the same time.
Wow.
On top of that, like Tier is already Tier in terms of it being out. So this is like, well, I started teaching in 2017.
Yes.
Tier had been out for 3 years. Then wasn't what it is now, but it was still in like the building and growing processes. And during that time, you know, things kept moving and progress kept happening. Well, once again, like I'm just in these other aspects of my life. Like I'm still trying to get my master's, teaching. And for me, like my master's was something that I had to get. Like that was, for me, like that was a personal goal. Like I'm not stopping until I get this.
Yeah.
So it was that. Then I was an art teacher teaching kindergarten to fourth grade. And that was an experience because this is my first time teaching. It's from a charter network. Kids are between like 5 and 10.
Yeah.
Luckily, kids love me, and I loved all my students.
Yeah.
And I think the big part of that was I just remember being young, black, and in school. Like I remember being that age and not seeing teachers that looked like me. I remember being that age and my teachers are like 50 and 60 and white. You know, they're not understanding what I'm going through and the like hood or what struggles or issues I have at home or things like that. And oftentimes they didn't care either. You know. So me being in that space and me being able to be, I was 24 at that time. So me being 24 years old, being able to teach young black and brown children that come from the same community as me, like it felt easy. It felt easy. Granted, it wasn't always easy, but it felt easy because I can relate to them. Like, yes, they're 4 to 10, but like I still know their struggles. You know, I know what it feels like to be in certain situations at a certain age. And honestly, like, when you get down to it, a 20-something-year-old and a 4 to 10-year-old, y'all probably got a lot of things in common. Y'all rocking the same shoes because y'all all rocking either Jordans or Nikes or something of that sort. And, you know, parents get their kids fly as hell these days, even back then. And then on top of that, y'all probably listen to the same music. A 20-year-old and a teenager and a young kid are 10 times out of 10 listening to the same music.
That's true.
So it's like we related through music, through clothing, through environment, through everything. So now the teaching aspect is easy now.
Because there's that rapport.
Because it's that rapport and that relatability.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's something special about, you know, all the young black and brown teachers that we have this day and age.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have that representation growing up, you know, and so to be in that space at that age and you know, yes, I was a teacher, but like they were my teachers too. Like I learned a lot from them, you know. And once again, like I was teaching art, so creatively, it was also feel like
You're being fulfilled.
fueling me too.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm getting to teach them the basics of art, color theory, teach them about different mediums and art styles, and you know, act like experimenting with different fabrics and material. You know, like young kids in arts and craft, I can only imagine how you think a classroom looks.
Probably nuts.
You know, but it was beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, because they're so creative and they're so genuine and so honest. And I always say that the most honest human beings on earth are kids.
That's facts.
Because they haven't been contaminated by what the world has to say you're offer yet.
Yeah.
You know, you really start thinking for yourself as you experience, not start thinking for yourself, but you really start like looking at things more or having a perspective based off your experiences. You know, a child mind is so absorbent and so free.
There's no filter.
You know,
There's no filter.
So it's like if they say they feel some way, they feel that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And that seems like such a fitting role for you, just based off of what you've described throughout the conversation, how you're so focused on everyone else's experiences and growth and adding value to their situations. And I do want to give you a moment to flex. You know, you're your Kappa motto, achievement in every field of human endeavor. Tier has achieved a lot. Like, what do you look at as the checkpoints or milestones for y'all? Like, I've been aware of the brand for like 3 years now. I went to the pop-up shop in LA. I've seen, you know, Fashion Week and all these different things and all these celebrities wearing them. But like for you being on the back end, putting all of this together, all the hard work that you put in, late nights, dropping shit off at people, like what do you look at as the checkpoint milestones for the brand?
Checkpoint milestones. See, this is the part where I'll probably try to say something clever or slick, but it's like only because I don't know. Like I always feel like I have more work to do.
Right.
Like I always feel like I still have things to do, and like I'm proud of everything that has been accomplished and everything that I do. But honestly, like a lot of times I haven't lived in those moments. Not that I regret it now because it's something that I'm working on now, like to be more present in the and just to take like in these moments more, you know, because a lot of times these moments happen for me way before they happen for the public.
Right.
So when the public sees it, that's when
It's
everybody's
already-
hyped. But I'm just like, I'm already working on
It's been
something
in
else
motion,
because
yeah.
this has been in motion for like this X amount of time, or this is going on. So I'm like still excited. I'm still, you know, happy for it, but I'm also still like working towards something. But that's also a space that I'm like trying to get out of, just being just like letting things marinate, not only letting things marinate, but letting like feelings marinate without getting too complacent and lazy. Like, because I am a person where I like to keep like active. I like to keep busy.
It's an important balance to strike.
But yeah, I think something big for the brand and for us is, I think, the last New York Fashion Week show that we just did. We did it at Long Island University. It's like I couldn't ask for anything more, from including like faculty and staff and students to doing it on the campus where I literally spent 8 years of my life at. Where we started the brand, where like so many of the brand history and origins are rooted in LIU, from our friends that supported us from the jump, to people just seeing us grow also as like in the like visuals. You know, I think that show was so powerful, and then to go back to the school and give that opportunity to students to be models instead of like casting models or things like that. You know, to this day, like the students still hit me. I literally speak to like most of the students like every day, whether like they just need advice or like have a like quick question or want me to pull up to something, you know. that's important. You know, like that's like important to me. You know, like me, clothing is there. You know, like we're gonna make clothes. It's like gonna be quality. People are gonna and like enjoy it, but I want people to enjoy the impact of Tier more.
Yeah.
You know, yes, enjoy our products, but enjoy the impact as well. And yeah, like that was just super, super big. Like even that I'm still processing. Like I really just produced a huge ass show with my team at not only my old university, but the place that really birthed this brand.
Yeah.
You know, so that was huge.
It's very meaningful.
Like that was a fulfilling moment.
Yeah. And I know from Tier you kind of created Entrepreneur Festival and Art Never Dies Foundation. Like what was the motivation behind taking this and kind of using it to be a launch pad for those additional endeavors?
Yeah. I think for me I always said that Tier is a creative fashion agency. So it's a creative and fashion brand, you know. And I say that too because it's just, once again, it's more than clothing. It's more than the product. And with Entrepreneur Festival, specifically, me personally, I love festivals. I love festivals, you know. I like the feeling of being at a concert, seeing people perform live. I also like panels. A lot of people think panels are probably boring or things like that, but I truly enjoy like listening to people share their stories and what they went through and how they overcame it. I don't know if it's because my mother was a psychologist, but I've always been in the mindset of like understanding why things. So like I like sitting in on like people's stories, and just understanding more. But yeah, like I think between those things, it's just like I don't even know no more, honestly. What was the question again?
I was just asking about Entrepreneur Festival and Art Never Dies Foundation.
Okay, cool. Hopefully we could clip that out and refix it.
No problem.
But I go back to the festival to say that because I like concerts and I like panels and things like that, it prompted me to have this festival, but to do it in like an uncommon way. And when anybody thinks about a concert or a festival and things like that, we think about big name artists, big name people, because those are what drive sales, those are what drives money, things like that. For me, I'm like, at that time, like especially, and even more now, I'm making clothes. I'm a fashion designer. I have friends that are fashion designers, and I also have friends that are doing other things. And for me, I'm like, okay, I want us all to be in one space, showcasing our talents. I know so many people that are doing music. I know so many people that are doing culinary things, from like private dinners to being chefs for like athletes and players. I know people that are like making skincare products and everything, you know? And with that, I'm like, I want to create a space for creatives and young entrepreneurs to showcase their work, but not only showcase their work, be connected with the right people in the right industries and learn from others. Learn from others within your same field. I always say, like, some of my biggest inspirations in life don't come from fashion, you know? So it's like when you're able to connect with creatives or like cross fields, that's powerful. So that's the space that I wanted this festival to be. So Entrepreneur Festival, it covers art, music, beauty, culinary, fashion, and journalism.
Love that.
Because all of these things are art forms.
Yeah.
All of these things are art forms, and they are all one way or another intertwined with each other. You know, and having that place where these people can meet, showcase their work, showcase their talents, connect with people that they probably would have never gotten a chance to see or meet. Like, that's powerful. So I would bring my friends that are in the industry and bring my friends that I know are doing like things on the up and like coming in, and hey, like y'all should know each other. Y'all should meet. Like, this actually makes sense. And just getting like inspired, you know. Then literally put on the festival for 2 years. A lot of money, all out of our own pockets, just to see, you know, this happen. You know, because once again, like, that's the fulfilling moment for me. It's like,
Absolutely.
What connections can I make? What bridges can I connect? You know, and that's literally like the principle of what the festival was like founded off of. And even with the Art Never Dies Foundation now, you know, what we're trying to do from there is literally create merchandise through this foundation where 100% of the proceeds will go towards creatives in the form of either scholarships or programming, right? So it's like, okay, now we can have these community like events, whether it's socials or panels or mixers or networks or workshops. Now a high school student that may be struggling to launch a brand, or a college student that wants to launch a brand but doesn't have the money but has a really good business plan and knows how to spend the fund. Now we have resources to be able to provide that for them. You know, because once again, like, that's all it's about. Like, doing your thing, but making sure that your thing also lights the way for the next person to do their thing. And, you know, granted, like, not everybody follows or the right things happen within all of that, but it's like, you want to make sure your and like intentions are good, and you want to make sure that it goes how you and like vision it, you know. And that's my path currently, just really trying to still do my thing, still be who I am, but knowing that, like, hey, like, there's room for everybody to do their thing. Like, I've never looked at anybody as they're taking away from me, because once again, it's like, what can you add to the room? I don't go into any places thinking what I can take from it. I'm going in places like, how can I add to this place?
Absolutely.
Like, how can I leave this place and people be like, yeah, you know? Like, that's how people should feel. Like, I'm not about to leave, like, oh yeah, I just got all of this and all of that, and I'm out there, you know?
Yeah.
That doesn't really do nothing, you know?
Absolutely. To close here, I gotta ask, and this might give you hell, but first thing that comes to your mind, what is your absolute favorite piece of tier clothing?
Damn. I feel like I have a new favorite every season.
Makes sense.
Like, that's definitely the type of person that I am. I'm like, oh damn, this is my favorite. This is my favorite. This is my favorite. My favorite piece of tier clothing right now, currently, it'll have to be the leather space pants.
Leather space pants. Okay.
Because when I tell you that I have like 4 or 5 pairs just for myself, and I probably should not publicly say that now, because now some people are gonna try to take the pairs that I got. But like, I love those pants.
Yeah.
Like, I love those pants, and
Those are good pants.
like, I would just wear them every day. Like, I have a week worth of pants, leather pants, and I'm gonna wear them every day.
I feel that.
But yeah, the leather
Good
space
to know.
pants.
Well, now the listeners about to jump them. Yo, man, thank you so much for pulling up. Congratulations on all your success. And just your mindset and your approach to it all. It's like, it's really admirable, because you could have came in here and just flexed. Like, yo, like you could have really came in here and absolutely flexed. But I think people are going to get a lot out of the way you approach tier and collaborating with other brands and creating an experience for other people. So I really respect that. I definitely want to salute you. Tell the people where they can find you, find tier, and if there's anything you want to promote that's coming up.
Yes, y'all can find Tier on Instagram at tier_NYC. Tier is spelled TIER_NYC. Our website is shoptier.nyc. Our Twitter is shoptier. You can find me on Instagram at NidaSpade. That is NIDESSPADE. And what's coming up? What do we have coming up? We have a lot of special things coming up this month. I'm not going to say it, but it's about to roll out soon. Project 5, Tier University, will be dropping in April. This is probably the first time I said that publicly. So
there we go, exclusives.
Pop-up shops, new merchandise, new events, experiences coming this March and this April.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, I'm looking forward to it. We're kicking off Busy Black Business Month with Tier, my guy, Nigeria Earley. Thank you again so much for pulling through. Of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to Patreon, patreon.com/StayBusyPod if you want to follow me at Armon Sadler. But most importantly, make sure that you stay safe, stay humble, and stay busy.
Baby girl, how you feeling? I've been out in the world, staying busy. Taking time, getting right if you miss me. I've been out in the world, staying busy.
Mondays 9 a.m. Mondays 9 a.m. Party with the gang. Every week, tell a friend. Busy over everything. Busy boys, gotta call now. Ain't you heard? Got the vibes. They put you on. Got the slides. I'm the SARS. Running dog. No, we hold it down.